Hey guys, welcome back to Walking with Jesus Daily. We are in the day 187. This is the meat section, and we are going to be digging into the mashup of Matthew 16, 13 through 20, Mark 8, 27 through 30, and Luke 9, 18 through 20. This mashup section is, we got some things to talk about. So let's dig into this. It doesn't have to be necessarily a long section, but there are some things and some ways of understanding that probably need to be adjusted in the ways that we read things. And so let's read through it. We remember where he's coming from, where they're going to. It says, now it happened that he was praying alone. So Jesus is doing what we've read about him doing so many times. He's alone and he is in prayer. Wouldn't it be great if we could count the number of times that our prayer was interrupted by others? Wouldn't it be great if we prayed that much? Wouldn't it be great if we prayed so much that prayer being interrupted was a normal thing? I think that if we were more focused and more direct in how we prayed, if we prayed more frequently, if we prayed all day, that we would see that there really wasn't like an interruption to our prayer. It was just prayer beautifully blended into regular conversation and regular life. Think about how many times we wouldn't say the wrong thing or react in the wrong way if it was the peace of God that was resting over us in those moments of prayer. And at first this would take a lot of focus, and then after that I think it would take a lot to get us away from that. I know it's a place that I'm trying to get back into. I was in a very good place of prayer for a very long time, and got distracted with a few things. It's not always bad things that distract us. Sometimes it's just things. And, recognizing it and changing what we do is important. But Jesus is doing what Jesus does. He's talking to his Father. And it says the disciples were with him. And why would it say he's alone and the disciples were with him? Well, the point was being that he wasn't in a large group of people. He wasn't out somewhere teaching or preaching. This is one of the times that he's alone with his disciples, and we actually get to have some of that conversation recorded. It says, and Jesus went on with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. Now, I may need to, I want to say MapQuest this. I know that's not real. That's just funny to say out loud. Some of you maybe have no idea what MapQuest is, but I am going to, while we're discussing this, I'm just curious. If I type this word in, this place, just to see where it is exactly, because knowing this place is important. It's important. It's important because it's going to give us some information regarding why Jesus is saying the things that he's saying. Now, a couple people that I know have been over there recently, but according to the maps that I have in front of me, you have the Sea of Galilee. Above the Sea of Galilee to the north west is Tyre and Sidon, right, where Jesus went. That was right on the Mediterranean Sea. And it looks like almost directly north of the Sea of Galilee and directly east of Tyre is a place called Caesarea Philippi. This is where Jesus is. And from what our understanding is, this is where, and Kenny can go into better detail on this. I didn't do a bunch of research on this. I'm just recalling what I've been told. There, in this place, was a place of demon worship. And this demon worship was a place where sacrifices were made. Okay? And Jesus went with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And it says when they came into the district, Jesus, asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" It's an interesting question for Jesus to ask. It's not like Jesus couldn't hear what people were saying, and it's not like he didn't know. So this was a teaching moment. This was not, it doesn't sound to me like Jesus is actually wondering, I wonder what it is that people say about me. I'm pretty sure he knows and he hears. But he asked the question of his disciples. Okay, what is it that the people of the world say about me? Now, he has just spent time in prayer. He's with his disciples. They enter this Caesarea Philippi. They enter an area where demon worship, where pagan false god worship is taking place, where sacrifices to this false god are taking place. And I'm sorry, it's really irritating me that that I don't that I cannot remember. It was situated at the base of Mount Hermon, near a major spring, a place of pagan worship and Roman influence, but I cannot think of the name of the god. I'm so sorry. You know what? That gives you something to look up. I'm not here to give you all the answers. So look up what kind of god worship took place there. I'm going to look it up because it's driving me crazy. Anyway, he asked the question, what does the world say about me? And this is a great question for you right now. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're a believer, everybody has their own Jesus. Well, this is who Jesus is to me. This is who Jesus is to me. Well, my grandpa or my grandma said that he's this. And people love to talk and they love to give their own opinion on who or what God or who or what Jesus is. And then they have created their God and they worship him how they see fit. You see that if you are creating your God, and if you are speaking your God into existence, then you're also speaking how you worship that God into existence. And you're also speaking volumes of your own opinions about the God who created you. Imagine God's disappointment when he's like, I literally left you, my written words of who I am. And then I knew that you'd be too lazy to try to go put the pieces together, so I pieced them all together. And then I knew you'd be too lazy to read a book, so I put it in an app. And then I knew you'd be too lazy to read through that app, so I had concordances built, and I had Hebrew to English and Greek to English or Aramaic to English, and I knew that even that would be too difficult for you to actually look into, so I made an audiobook. And then all of this boils down to listening to what other people say about Jesus. And in this instance, they went ahead and told him what they were hearing other people say. So just stop for a little bit and think about what other people are saying. When other people say he's the Son of God, and they might say that, you have to instantly start to think or ask the question, and who is God? Who is God to you? If he is the Son of God, then the question is, who is God to you? And what does your God look like? Because it may not match up with who you think God is based off of his own words. It's important for us to understand that not everybody's on the same page, regardless of what they act or sound like. Most people are not. So they told him this. Some say that you are John the Baptist. Okay, come back to life. Herod is one of those people. Others say Elijah. They say Elijah, come back from the dead, because how else could he do these amazing things? Humans can't do these things. So you would have to be a spirit brought back from the dead. All right. And then others say Jeremiah, or one of the prophets of old, has risen. In all 3 or 4 of these instances, they're all based on somebody who is no longer living. So John the Baptist, dead. Elijah, dead. Jeremiah, dead. And there hadn't been a prophet in 400 years. So all dead. All come back to the living from the dead. That should give us an idea of what people are saying about the things that Jesus is doing. It's not possible for someone to do the things that Jesus is doing and be a man. So, are we listening to these words right off the bat? This speaks a lot. It tells us that the perception of the people at that time was that he is far more than a man. But he looks and eats and walks and talks like a man. But most people are saying that he is not. All right? And then it says this. And he asked them, but who do you say that I am? Now, backing this up, his first question, who do people say the Son of Man is? In Luke, it says, who do the crowds say that I am? So I, Jesus, am the same as the Son of Man is. Now, the Son of Man is in Matthew, right? Who do people say that the Son of Man is? Well, because the Son of Man in Matthew, this should be very well known through among Jews, because of going back and reading Daniel. I believe it's Daniel chapter 6, but I could be wrong on that. 9 maybe, I don't know. It talks about the Son of Man, and this is supposed to be the Messiah. So Jesus is the Son of Man. He's identifying as the Son of Man. But see, when it's written about, it's written in different ways. It's the same meaning, but written to different crowds. Also in Mark, it says, who do people say that I am? Okay, so Matthew's the only one that writes it down like that. So just equate the two, okay? And then he asked them, but who do you say that I am? So here's the question for you. Jesus is asking you. You are hearing these words, and even if he's not talking directly to you, if you're hearing these words, you have to answer this question in your heart. Who is it that Jesus says, or that you say that Jesus is when he asks you the question, who do you say that I am? The rest of this is mostly from Matthew. It says that Simon Peter replied. Now remember, Peter was given the name Peter a long time ago. The very first time that he met Peter, Peter was given this name. So this is not new. Okay, Peter replies, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Is this what you say about Jesus. What does the word Christ mean? Why do we say Christ? I heard somebody say one time, Christ is not Jesus' last name. His name is not Jesus Christ, like my name is Daniel Huther. Okay, his name, Jesus Christ, is Anointed One. Jesus, the Anointed One of God. Jesus, the Chosen One. This matters. You are the Christ. You are the Anointed One of God. The Son of the living God. There's a lot in one statement. The Anointed One, the Son of God, the Son of the living God. We just talked about 3 dead people or more. John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, or the prophets. But it's very clearly stated here, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. All right, now Jesus is going to answer Peter. Blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah! Exclamation point. What's a Bar Jonah? It's from his father Jonah. Blessed are you, Simon. Doesn't call him Peter here. Can we point that out? He doesn't call him Peter. He calls him Simon. He said, blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah. Blessed are you, your original name, Simon, son of Jonah. Do you see what he does here? Peter calls him Jesus, Son of the living God, the Anointed One, and Jesus calls him Simon, the son of Jonah. Pretty cool, right? That's the end of the sentence. Blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah. He says, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. There's no way of you knowing this from flesh and blood. It has to be from the Spirit. You were not there when I was created. You did not see what took place. Okay? It wasn't the temporal that brought you to this conclusion. It is the spiritual. If it is the temporal or the flesh or the world that brings you to an understanding that Jesus is the Son of God, then we've missed his entire purpose of being here. He said, my Father in heaven, who you just talked about, the living God, he's made this known to you. And then he says this, I tell you. He says, I'm telling you, okay, that you are Peter. Do you see why he says this now? He goes from you are Simon. Now he says, but I named you Peter. And I tell you, you are Peter. And then he says, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Many, many people will try to build Peter up here into something that he is not. Peter is a man, he is a disciple, and he is an amazing, handpicked person by Jesus. But let's remember all of the things that are about to take place in the life of Peter. The gates of hell shall not overcome Peter who denies Jesus. Peter who Jesus literally says, "Get behind me, Satan." Peter who has to be corrected by Paul. Guys, read the words. I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock. What is the rock? The rock is the confession that was just made by Peter. He's already recognized Peter. He's already blessed Peter. What we're talking about is the confession that Peter made. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. He says, on this, on your confession of who I am, I will build my church. Is the church, the body of Christ, built on the man Peter? No, that's not possible. There's other better candidates to pick from. Okay? The church that the Lord is building, and this is important because he's talking about this. Jesus is talking about building his church. He says, this church that I am building, the foundation of it is to recognize me, not as the world recognizes me, but as I actually am. I am the anointed one of God. I am the Son of the living God. Without this confession and belief, there is no church of mine. He says, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Where they're standing, apparently where this was given, was a place that was considered to be the gates of hell. In this pagan worship, in this worship of a demon. He said, nothing will overcome. Nothing will overcome me. Nothing will overcome my church. If my church is founded in me, and the central belief is in me and on who I am, you cannot obtain being a part of the kingdom without this central foundational belief of who I am, and not what the world says, but what God says, and what I say. He says, I'm telling you, you're Peter. You're no longer Simon. And I am the Christ, the Son of the living God. And based off of your confession of who I am, that's how we are going to build the church. That's where the church is going to be built on. It's going to be built on that confession. Do you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God? If you do, we can begin. And the gates of hell, it doesn't matter how bad it gets. It doesn't matter what happens. You will not be overtaken by the gates of hell. And I'll give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, because the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, okay, he's based off of this foundation. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then he strictly charged the disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. Which is interesting, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But he's basically saying, if you go and teach the truth and people believe, then they belong to me, and I will never let them go. I am faithful to what I say. I'm going to send you into the world to make disciples. And those true disciples that you have made, those true disciples that my Father has prepared beforehand for you, for me, they will not slip from my grasp. They are mine forever, as long as they continue to choose to walk in my ways. We're going to read about some that did and some that did not. And those that did not were loosed. And those that did were bound. May we remain focused that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. And if that is true, what does that look like in our life? And what does that look like in our belief? If that is true, what else really matters? What other knowledge do you need? Shouldn't he be enough? The anointed one of God, his Son, is here. He loves you. He lives in you. He guides you. He strictly tells the disciples to tell no one that he's the Christ. Demons were already calling this out a long time ago, right? This is not like it's a hard conclusion to come to. However, he's allowing this to play out as it will. People need to see the signs. They need to seek him. Remember how we talked about seeking him fully? And then they need to accept him as the Christ, the Son of the living God. All right, I've gone way too long, and I'm sorry for that. This is just such a powerful, incredible lesson that we've got to spend a little bit of time in, knowing that the confession and what you say about who Jesus is matters. What you believe about who Jesus is matters. And you can't go by what other people say, but what God says and what Jesus himself says and what you believe. Because if you don't believe that, that is the central rock. It is the foundation. Do you understand what rock is? It's what you build on. Instead of sand, you build on rock, unless you're in Florida. It's the foundation of the church. The foundation is Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. He is the anointed Messiah. All right, lots to think about, lots to take in, lots to pray about. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow.